Oh my gosh, everybody. It is episode 28 of the Hardly Millennial podcast, where we are young, dumb, and full of
opinions.
Opinions, ladies and gentlemen. As always, my name is Adam Hansen.
And I'm Matthew Lynn. What's going on, guys?
And we are the Hardly Millennials. So today, guys, we're kind of going back to our roots a little bit in the sense of we don't have a specific topic for you guys today. But what we did think we could do is just, you're basically just going to listen to Matthew and I have a conversation. But I also felt that we could kind of just mix it in with a little bit of having you guys get to know us a little bit better.
Yeah. You 28 episodes in, almost a month, guys.
Yeah.
Time to get to know us a little.
Exactly. So I thought
Buckle
I think that's what we're going to be focusing on today. And I just hope you guys enjoy it like you've enjoyed the other one. Censorship was kind of a big, heavy topic. So
yeah, it took a lot out of us.
Yeah.
It really did. We gave you guys our all.
Yeah, we sure did.
We had to sleep. We had to eat.
We had to work.
And now we're back.
Now we're back. So we hope you guys enjoy the conversation today and, lay back and just enjoy.
So, Adam, I am curious. The first thing that pops in my head here is, what are you obsessed with? What is like the thing that you think about the most?
Self-improvement and personal growth.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure. I'm always constantly thinking about things that I did that I felt I should have done differently, ways I behaved that I felt I should have behaved differently, or what can I do to be a little healthier today, or man, I was so unhealthy today, I need to get back on track with that. Always personal growth is always on the mind, and everything kind of relates back to that. So even starting like Hardly Millennial, it was, it came to this point where I knew last year that I basically gave myself a timeline and said, okay, I need to start doing something, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I need to pick something and stick with it and just see it till the end. And for a long time, the plan was to actually really jump back into the film industry this year.
Right.
Because I did that for years, guys. I lived in Los Angeles and did it. And when I moved back from Los Angeles back in 2013, I had pretty much a lull, but I was doing it on and off. So I would.
You did pretty well in it too. Had you have stayed in LA and stuck with it, you probably would have gone and had a career in the film industry.
Yeah, and
maybe not a millionaire actor.
No.
Okay, but you would have been successful in the movie industry.
Yeah,
you had built up a pretty good base of contacts.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I believe that also, and I also believed that if I really applied myself, that I could even hear, and I still do believe that I could hear, and and for a little bit there, I was doing things like my own projects, and I worked on a few commercials here in Arizona, on and off now and then, but nothing was really steady. I wasn't really gung-ho into like jumping back into that, right?
Right.
And so for going back to what I was planning on doing last year, I was like, okay, come January 1st, I'm just going to fucking go for it with the film industry and just do that. That's going to be my thing. That's going to be my focus. And that's, regardless whether I like it or hate it at that point.
You're just going to stick with it.
I need to stick with something, right?
Right.
So, and it wasn't until around like October, November, where I was listening to a lot of podcasts, and I always had.
Yeah,
but,
even before we had one, Adam was always a fan of podcasts. I'd never listened to one in my life.
Yeah.
But he was always a fan of multiple podcasts.
Mm-hmm. And I'd actually spoken to Justin a few times over the course of the couple years of just, possibly doing a podcast one day. But a lot of it was just, fantasizing of like
talking with your friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure.
But it was stuff. It was actually Justin that came up with the Young, Dumb, and Full of Opinions.
Yeah, thanks, Justin.
Yeah.
Shout out.
And originally that was going to be like the name of the actual podcast.
Right.
And then it just ended up becoming our slogan. Yeah.
Right.
So it came down to so going back to like the personal growth and self-improvement thing, the whole decision of doing Hardly Millennial was based off of that, of like, I need to do something with my life. It's healthy for me to do something and to have something to focus on.
Right.
So then,
Well, I'm kind of getting in that stage of your life now, you know, coming up on 30 here soon. You don't want to work for someone else forever. You know, it's time to get your own thing going.
and that was also always a big issue I had with like the film industry, and why I always had such a love-hate relationship, because a lot of times it felt like the only reason why I felt like I needed to do film was, for one, I'd put in so much of my, life and stuff into film already. And
Right.
two, it was like, well, I really didn't know how to do anything else. I didn't go to college for anything else. Even when I was in high school, I was making short films with friends or doing theater shit. So it really was this like love-hate relationship. And the biggest qualms I had about the industry was just, I wanted to make content. I cared very little about, being a grunt man, on sets, or being a cinematographer per se.
The stuff that you have to do for 10, 15 years, before you get to be the director and the cast member.
And look, total respect to those who climb that
it's a
fucking
grind.
ladder. Because
It's a
yes,
grind.
it is 100% a grind, and I have mad respect for anybody who goes about it that way.
Right.
But I'm really good in the creative seat and not so much the worker seat. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, you know your strengths.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
play your strengths. It's funny that having no idea you would end up here, you actually gathered all the skills you needed to be here, to make this podcast and to make a YouTube channel. But having no idea you were going to be part of new media. You thought you were going to be part of
old media.
regular media. Yeah. But all the same skills come into play here, so.
Well, and I think I even remember saying to you once while we were, I think, filming the first update or something, that I was surprised of how much, because you were obviously asking me a lot of questions.
Oh, dude, I learned so much. Adam is a great teacher.
And I was so surprised of like all the information I had actually retained, because this was stuff I hadn't used or applied in years at this point,
Yes.
So
Adam is definitely the technician.
Yeah.
I'm just the sweet, sweet voice and entertainment.
And people love your sweet voice, Matthew.
I was always good at bringing people together.
Yeah.
That was always kind of one of my strengths. So
I could
feel
see
like
that,
I helped
definitely.
do that in this equation.
Yeah,
I helped
absolutely.
to build the community part of it.
Well,
which is
and-
fantastic, by the way, guys. It's growing every day.
Yeah, well, and that's why I think this partnership with you and I really works, and we've talked about this before, whereas my mind, when it comes to like the creative stuff and things like that, my mind's constantly going on it. So all of a sudden something that should be very small turns into something very big, but sometimes the big stuff isn't exactly plausible either.
Right.
So it was nice to have you there to be like, okay, cool, Adam, that sounds fun. I can't wait till we get there. But we're here.
But we're here now. Let's cross
Yeah.
this bridge. You're
Exactly.
definitely a dreamer, my friend. You're a
I
dreamer,
truly
Hey,
am.
the world needs them.
Yeah.
The world needs them.
I'd argue so, absolutely. But what's one thing you're obsessed with, Matthew?
What obsesses me? It's weird. I have a funky personality type where I get very fixated on one thing at a time. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily one thing in particular that I get obsessed with.
Right.
It's more of whatever I'm doing in that moment or for that week or that 6 months or those years. That's like 100% of my energy goes into that.
Gotcha.
So obviously right now it's Hardly Millennial, building up the brand, building up the community.
I hope you don't lose interest.
I don't. I really love doing this. This is a lot of fun, man. I feel like I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But, whether it be, for a while I was really into exercising. Towards the end of last year, I went like super crazy into exercising.
I remember that,
I was
yeah.
doing that every single day, all day long. I have a tendency to take like healthy habits and do them to an unhealtly extent.
Yeah, I definitely have that same problem.
I tend to do that. So yeah, before Hardly Millennial, what I was really into, and I still love to do, is trading. Particularly trading currency. Mm-hmm. I think I've talked about it a little bit on the podcast before, but that was like a passion of mine for a long time.
Yeah.
For probably the last like six years or so. Mm-hmm. I got really far in it. I was doing good. But every time I would get close to like real success,
Right.
I would break my own rules, and I didn't have the self-control
Right.
that was really needed.
It all of a sudden
discipline.
it all of a sudden turns from investing to gambling real quick.
Real quick, I had the technique down. I understood the fundamentals. I could teach them to an 8th grader. You know, but if you don't have the discipline with it, it slips out of your fingers quick.
Just doesn't help you.
So that kept happening to me over and over. And then, you know, obviously I moved in with you and Justin last year sometime. And
I think we're actually coming up on a year.
Yeah, we're coming up on our anniversary.
Yeah.
How fun. But yeah, I saw you getting real into this podcast thing, and then you came to me with the actual ideas. I loved it right away, obviously. And now that's been my tunnel vision. That's my focus lately.
It's been a lot of fun though, dude. It really has. And going back to, you know, what I was saying of why, you know, I wanted to do something and focus on something in the first place is exactly for this. You know, it used to kind of be, you know, you go to work, you come home, and then, you know, you're basically just lazy watching TV, you know, the rest of the night waiting for you to go to bed and wake up to do it again.
Yeah, it's just work every day.
And now it's nice to come home and be like, all right, so we got to make sure we get this up. Let's make sure we shoot a podcast.
Absolutely.
Let's do this.
I think it keeps a person happier.
Yes.
Like in their brain, kind of happy when they stay busy.
Yeah. Productivity is really key.
Absolutely. Feel like you're accomplishing something. Feel like you're going somewhere. Every day you're a little better than the day before.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things is to neurotically check all the numbers, check all the views on every video we have,
Right.
the subscribers, and I respond to the comments right away. Like, you know, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's a lot of fun. It really is. But yeah, it's interesting the things that you get obsessed with or not obsessed with, and you know, it brings you to here in front of a microphone.
Who's your favorite comedian? I don't know where that came from. Just fucking left field.
Favorite comedian?
Yeah, who's your favorite comedian? Or who's a really fantastic comedian? Because it's hard to pick a favorite.
So, I really enjoy Christopher Titus.
Don't know him.
Don't know him.
No.
He doesn't have a lot of specials now, but he had this particular special back in the early 2000s that heavily surrounded his like upbringing and his childhood, and the way that he would tell these stories was just so funny. One particular joke I remember is he was trying to talk about the difference between his mom and dad, right?
Right.
So he brought up this story of when he was a little kid, and he goes, so you know, you have these little kids and they have forks, you know, or they grab a knife, and the first thing they want to do is find an outlet and stick it in there, right? So he was talking about how he had a fork and he was about ready to go do that, and his mom was like, no, Chris, and his dad goes, wait, watch this. And then he goes, every single time he would do something bad, his dad would say, like, crack open a beer and go, you're not gonna do that again, are you? You know, just a super funny guy. He's actually the only comedian I've seen live.
Really?
Yeah, there was Kyle, our good friend Kyle.
Hey Kyle, what's up? We know you're listening.
He contacted me once, was like, hey, Christopher Titus is coming to, I think it was Tempe here.
Oh, nice.
And he goes, we should go see him. I was like, fuck yes. Yeah, we went to go see Christopher Titus. Other ones I really enjoy, though, is I do really enjoy Joe Rogan.
Is he a comedian?
Yeah, that's like his main thing. Well, his main thing's really the podcast, but like comedy's his passion.
Really?
Yeah, he does.
Has he done a stand-up?
Yeah, he does sets every
seen
night.
it.
He has like 3 Netflix specials.
Wow.
Yeah, super funny.
Never seen it.
Super
I'll
funny.
have to check him out.
And one other one that comes to my mind is, and I can't remember his name. His name's like Andrew Jablinski or some shit like that.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. But he focuses on like dark humor.
Oh boy.
So he does, like, I can't remember any of his specific jokes, but I mean, throwing rocks at babies, or
Oh,
like I
goodness
think he had
me.
something about throwing a baby out a car window or
Oh,
something like
Adam.
that. But it's all very obviously like dark humor, but it's super funny to
hope
listen
so.
to.
You know who really gets me, just
What?
personally, and I don't think that he's a lot of people's favorite. Okay, but everyone knows him.
Mm-hmm.
So, Louis C.K.
I like Louis C.K.
So Louis C.K. for some reason his particular humor, it just cracks me the fuck up, dude.
It's
It
good. It's
really
dry
gets me.
humor.
It
It's good.
really gets me, and I love when other comedians do an impersonation of him because he's
Yeah.
very easy to impersonate.
Yes.
I think that's hilarious. So I also really enjoyed rest in peace, Ralphie May.
I never
Ralphie
got
May
into
was-
Ralphie May.
Oh my goodness, I thought he was just fucking hilarious.
Yeah?
He brought so much joy to everyone around him, dude. Like he was just a joy bringer.
He definitely looked like a joy bringer, but just
I
his comedy
great.
specifically, I was whatever about.
I loved it. I think that most people can actually agree, honestly, that one of the best comedians ever is Dave Chappelle.
Yes.
I think Dave Chappelle, and you know why I think he went down in history being so great
Hi.
is that he did a couple of specials, and then he got the fuck out. He got out. He didn't keep going.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't allow the plane to crash. He just jumped out of the plane while it was flying high.
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that because I was about to just admit that honestly because I watched his show back in the early 2000s, when that was on. But I never watched any of his stand-up. I never saw any of his stand-up.
Oh my lord, his stand-up is way better than his show.
So the
His
first
stand-up's fucking great.
So the first stand-up I saw of his was I think he released 2 specials at once on
At
Netflix.
once, yes, those were recent.
So those were actually the first time I saw him live. Or
He did
his
well in
stand-up.
those. He did do well in those, but his first, I think there's 2.
They're like HBO specials, right?
Yeah, they're back in the day. Those ones are just gold.
Really?
Those are fucking gold, Adam. Yeah.
I'll have to go back and listen to them. Oh, do you like the comedian Gabriel Iglesias? The fluffy
guy, he's not my kind of humor.
Oh, no.
So I appreciate him for what he does. I think he brings a lot of joy to the world, and he's a very happy comedian. Like
Yeah.
everything is a very happy-go-lucky joke.
Right.
And I do prefer that kind of comedy. But he's just a little too corny for me.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? He's a little too corny.
Gotcha.
I can see
Okay.
why people like him. He's just
Yeah,
not my
yeah.
favorite flavor. That's all.
So one comedian who stand up that I don't and haven't ever particularly enjoyed
Dan Cook?
is actually Robin Williams.
Too soon.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but like
I agree with you, though. I'll have
Yeah.
to say he was a fantastic actor, but he didn't have the delivery of a stand-up comedian.
no, not yeah, he's
He was
good
an
at like
entertainer. He wasn't a comedian.
yeah, he's good at like quips. Like if you're talking, like I feel like if you're talking to him regularly, right, and he would make some quip, some little bit, you'd be laughing your ass off.
Yes.
But when he's on stage and just doing that for 2
It
hours,
just looks like a crazy person doing it.
Yeah,
It would be
well,
like Jim Carrey being on stage doing stand-up.
yeah. Well, and he used to do stand up too.
Yeah, he doesn't anymore for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. But and I remember I had a friend who tried to show me old Robin Williams, right? So when he was first doing stand up, and I
He'll
remember
make you laugh. He's not
Oh,
bad.
yeah. Well, specifically these older ones, though, I actually had such a hard time watching it because Robin Williams used to be a big cokehead in the day,
Yeah.
And so I was listening to the stand-up, and Robin Williams' comedy and the way he talks is already fast. But here you had this stand-up
Robin
special.
Williams.
Yeah, coming out goes, "Hey guys, how everybody's doing here? My name's Robin Williams. Oh, you look like this, and you look like this."
Just imagine the genie from Aladdin on cocaine
For 2 hours.
for 2 hours straight. It would get to be a little much.
Yeah, we literally got like 15 minutes through it, and I told my friend, I was like, "I'm sorry, but I literally can't understand anything he's saying. Like, I don't even find it funny because I can't understand him."
What do you think of the what are they called? The like Southern guys, the Larry the Cable Guy. and,
blue collar
comedy.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. What do you think of them?
I thought they were I actually really like them.
I do too.
In the-
And I just complained about corny comedians, but I like them.
But here's the reason why I think they pass in the corniness thing, because their corniness is themed. right? It's all
Right.
themed off of old Southern country, type of stuff.
Yeah.
And they because it was
Dude,
Bill
Ron
Engvall.
White. Ron White is the fucking star
Yeah.
of that show. He is so funny.
But all four of them adhere to like different Southern kind of stereotypes. So you got all of them
Bill
together.
Engvall.
Bill Engvall,
Ron White, Larry, the cable, guy, and then there's Cox.
Jeff Foxworthy.
Jeff Foxworthy, not
There you go,
Cox.
Jeff
Fox.
Foxworthy.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we could throw jabs because they're probably never going to listen to this. Foxworthy is my least favorite of them.
The only stuff I really enjoyed of Foxworthy was I think he was the one who did.
He's the Here's Your Sign. Here's Your
Yeah,
Sign
Here's
one.
Your Sign. I enjoyed the Here's
Well,
Your
yeah,
Signs.
he got popular for that.
But that was it, really.
My second least favorite, honestly, is Larry the Cable Guy. I'm not a big fan of him either.
It's funny.
Every now and then, though, he comes out with one that it makes me laugh till I pee.
Yeah.
So those make up for the 90% of the just mid-range jokes.
It's funny. I think back to when I was watching the comedy tour specials, and I think I'd have to agree with you because really I don't remember anything of Larry the Cable Guy. The only thing I remember of Foxworthy is the Here's Your Sign.
So there's one joke from Larry the Cable Guy in particular
Okay.
that I remember that just it still makes me laugh until I pee.
Okay.
Okay, and he's going through a bunch of like songs, that like famous songs and nursery rhymes real quick, and he's making fun of them. And he gets to one where he's doing the Christmas songs, and he goes, "Hark the hare lip angels sing, blah, 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 Lord King." Because a hair lip is when the lip is messed up, So it's a jab at that. But the first time I heard that, I think I spat my drink everywhere and I couldn't stop laughing.
Oh my gosh.
It got me.
I think I remember those jokes. He had like a Little Miss Tuffet one too, didn't he?
He would make fun of all the nursery rhymes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
it was great.
They were definitely like Dane Cook though, as in they were like a gem in the early 2000s, and once that gem was over, it was over.
Dane Cook was amazing, but he never changed up his style.
Yes.
Is the problem. So we loved him for who he was, but after like really the second time of seeing it, we were done. And then he did it again and again and again. And after like the fourth or fifth time, we just got over it.
Well, and that's the thing too. None of his specials, like if you watch any like famous comedian now when they do a special, usually their jokes in the special in general run around a theme, right? So like Titus, I was telling you about, it was like his upbringing. All the jokes had to do with him as a kid.
Right.
Titus had another special called Love is Evil, which was all about relationships
Dane Cook
and love.
was just like the cool kid in high school, and he would tell you all the stories that he got into.
You know what? He's like the comedian representation of Family Guy.
Yeah,
Family Guy's bunch of
there's no
flashbacks.
consistency. Yeah. Yes, I agree.
Bunch of flashbacks, no theme.
Some of them are really funny, and most of them you're like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
What is he doing?
And
but he was huge for like 2 years, dude.
Very huge.
He could do anything.
And I remember he had he did a recent special I just saw a clip from it, I think like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It was different, but all it really was at this point was ragging on his haters. So he would like take things like read like bullshit tweets he got from people about how he's a has-been now.
Yeah, but Eminem was already doing that at the same time, and we preferred to hear him do it.
Yeah.
And only one person can do that.
Exactly.
So, sorry, Dane.
So, but yeah, as far as comedians go, what about recent comedians? Because I think we've named a lot of like older comedians. Well, I guess Louis C.K. is newer.
So one of my favorites is, and I always forget his name, but he's the one who plays in War Dogs, the fatter guy. He also plays in Wolf of Wall Street.
Jonah Hill.
Okay, Jonah Hill is like, he fucking makes me laugh, Adam. He is hilarious. I'm like holding my head right now, guys, because I can't get out the words to explain how fucking funny that kid is.
He's not a stand-up comedian, though.
I know he's not.
But as far as the actor, yeah.
Dude, he's a fantastic fucking actor.
And he can play serious also.
He's so good.
I agree with you.
The guy gets me, man. He gets me.
Wolf of Wall Street is probably the last movie that I saw that had me laughing constantly to the point of tears. I can think of 2 movies in my life that I saw. I amend that. 3 movies in my life that I've seen in theaters, where in theaters I was laughing my ass off to tears the entire time. The very first one was when I was a kid, and it was Finding Nemo. I laughed my ass off the entire time. I must have been. It was a fucking funny ass movie.
Okay.
And then the second one was Borat.
Borat was pretty funny. Mm-hmm. Borat had a few moments where it made me laugh pretty hard.
I laughed my ass off through that movie. And then Wolf of Wall Street, I was laughing the entire 2.5 hours.
You have a strange sense of humor, my friend.
Do I?
You have a strange sense of humor. I didn't think those were the 3 movies that were going to make you crack up.
Really? What are some of the movies that have made you like crack up constantly? Like through the whole thing.
So I know a lot of people didn't particularly love it, but Deadpool 2 is one of the more recent movies I watched that I couldn't stop laughing.
I did not feel that way at all about it.
It just tickled me. It was like my sense of humor.
Interesting. Okay.
The scene where he gets the team together. Spoilers, by the way.
That was
gets
funny.
Gets the team together.
Yeah.
And then they all die within like 5 minutes.
That is funny.
Because I was thinking in my head, I'm like, what the fuck is this? He doesn't get a team. Like, what are they doing? He never had a team. And then I was like, oh, they wanted to do this. Well, love it.
You know they're giving him a team for the third movie. That's what the X-Force or whatever it is.
They're probably going to kill him or something. Deadpool does not have a team. Deadpool's a solo guy. Anyway, we're not talking about superheroes today.
Right.
So pretty much anything with Ryan Reynolds will make me laugh my ass off.
Really? But Deadpool 2, through the whole thing.
The entire thing, Adam. And I was the only guy in the theater laughing because everyone else was like, this movie's stupid because no one really loved it. I loved it. I loved it with a capital L.
Okay.
It was great.
What's another one that did that to you?
One of my favorite movies ever that I can watch over and over and I still laugh is Rat Race.
I love.
Okay.
I
love Rat Race too.
I amend my previous statements. Rat Race.
Rat Race is fucking hilarious.
Had my whole family cracking up the entire
when he tries to
fucking
run
time.
a casino and he falls asleep. He's just sleeping there.
Dude, or even just the beginning where he's running downstairs and he goes, it's a race, I'm winning.
Yes.
Okay, so some backstory for people out there, because I think a lot of people don't know what Rat Race is.
Dude, oh my God,
I really think so, because I've tried to bring it up to people a lot of times in the past, and you are the first person I know, aside from my brother.
Okay, I literally love that. It's like one of my favorite movies.
I love that movie too. We're gonna have to get that movie.
Rat Race.
So Rat Race was this movie that came out it was the 2000s, right? Early 2000s, somewhere
early
around
2000s,
there.
late 90s, something around there.
So it came out there. There was a lot of big actors in there. Seth Green, Whoopi Goldberg was in there.
Seth Green was in it.
Before
Robot Chicken.
Before Robot Chicken. There was
Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean was in it.
From the Fantastic Mr. Bean.
He's the guy who fell asleep. If you don't know what Rat Race is, you don't know what Mr. Bean is either, though. So
that's true.
Sorry.
Okay, the guy who did the voice of Zazu in The Lion King.
Okay.
He was in there.
That'll help.
So, and the whole premise of the movie was a bunch of rich guys just brought a bunch of strangers into a room and said, hey, we have like $1 million or something like that, right?
Yeah, they put $1 million inside of a locker at a train station in like El Paso.
Yeah.
And they were in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. They were in a casino. They all are in Las Vegas for different reasons. And they all meet up in this room because they win tokens that say go to this meeting. Yeah. They all go to the meeting, and he just hands them all a key to the locker and says go.
Yep.
And of course, at first they don't believe it, and then they all fucking jump on it. Mm-hmm. And what it is all the rich people are betting to see who will get the money first.
Yes.
And crazy shit just happens for 2 hours, and it's hilarious.
It is fucking funny as hell, guys. If you guys have not seen the movie Rat Race, rent it and fucking watch it. You will be dying laughing. And if you're not, well, leave us in the comments. Tell us what you thought of the movie. I'm so happy you know that movie, dude.
I do know that movie very well.
I've never met somebody else who knew that movie.
Let's see here. What are some other good questions? Actually, I'm cheating here, guys. This is a cheat conversation. I have a little pad here of some questions that are particularly interesting.
Yeah, it's actually it's pretty fun. Actually, this is how we came up with the hypotheticals.
Here's a fun one. So, what's a popular person? Okay, so obviously a celebrity that annoys you.
A popular celebrity that annoys me.
That annoys you.
Okay, I'm gonna have to give this some thought. Do you have an answer right away, or do you have to think about it too?
Well, I have one right away that comes to mind, but it's not that they annoy me.
Okay.
Okay, it's that I'm just so incredibly bitter that they're rich and I'm not.
Okay, who is it?
Oh, I'm afraid to say it.
Just say it. It's okay.
Oh, they're not gonna like it, Adam.
Let's stir some pots.
They're not gonna. It's the Biebs.
Justin Bieber?
Justin Bieber. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just so upset that he's a bajillionaire and that the rest of us are not. He's just the most undeserving bajillionaire in the world, in my opinion.
He's just one of those kids, man. Just happening to be right place, right time.
It's nothing that he does. Mm-hmm. There's no actions that he does that annoy me. His music is not bad. Mm-hmm. There's no reason. I'm hating on the poor kid for no reason at all,
right.
Other than he's filthy rich and he's half my age. Yeah, I'm just bitter.
So
sorry.
I understand though. I feel like there's a lot of people out there who feel that way about the Biebs. But so there was a so I don't think I have a specific actor, at least not one that immediately comes to mind, that or any celebrity. I don't think there's one that immediately comes to mind that bothers me or annoys me on a regular basis. But I will say
Mel Gibson, Roseanne.
No.
Ellen DeGeneres. There's no one that you're like, ugh.
No, to me, it's more of a genre of celebrity that I don't like. So I don't like celebrities who, I feel like there's a word for this, but who basically get preachy about their beliefs and try to pour those on other people. A lot of them do it when it comes to politics.
So an example, maybe? Are you talking like Kanye West?
So, I mean, he's definitely done stuff like that. I don't like it when celebrities who that's why I immediately think of like Hollywood. And when you tell me celebrities, I think of like filmmakers, musical artists, right? You know, so and I'm just making that distinction because you could argue politicians are celebrities or whatever. But,
anymore they are.
Yeah, right. But I don't like it when you try to mush like politics or real life issues into entertainment.
So who's someone who does that?
So, well...
Like Tom Cruise?
I don't like Tom... Well, Tom Cruise, actually, I almost have a little more respect for because he's a Scientologist, but he never, like, when he goes on interviews and stuff, he never tries to be like, oh, become a Scientologist, you know, and he's like God in Scientology. And the ones that bother me right now, one specifically that bothers me right now is actually Brie Larson. And we were talking a little bit about this off mic, but she's the one who plays Captain Marvel in the new Captain Marvel movie that came out.
Oh, okay. So I have no idea who she is. I have no picture of her in my head, but I know who you're talking about because we've talked about her before.
Yeah. So you guys might remember I spoke a little bit about her on one of our podcasts before when we were talking about Black Panther and the Oscars. And what I had brought up about her was she was an actress that came out before Captain Marvel came out, which I think it just came out today.
Oh.
And
Probably did amazing.
Yeah. Well, it didn't.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So a couple months ago, or about a month ago, she was coming out and saying, hey, when I have to go and do these interviews for this movie, I'm not going to, she didn't want to have people who weren't of color or who weren't women interviewing her.
She wanted a very diverse group of people.
Yes.
Regardless of their actual qualifications, regardless of how good of a reporter they were or what their questions were.
Yes.
She demanded diverse people or she would not talk to anybody.
Yes. And that was basically the first domino to this whole thing. So since then, she's made a spectacle out of the movie about, bringing the feminist ideals into it and political ideas and liberal ideals, which, like, to an extent is okay. But it's like when somebody's religious, right? You're somebody who's religious, you know, but you're not somebody who tries to shove your religion down my throat.
No, I'll never talk about it unless someone asks.
Exactly.
If someone asks, then I'll talk.
So this is somebody who I feel like is trying to take her ideals and shove it down people's throat.
Nobody really loves that, right?
No. And I feel like there's a lot of celebrity, and I'm just using Brie Larson as an example, but I just feel there's a lot of entertainers out there that do that. And I think when you're an entertainer, you should stick to entertainment,
So I'm curious, as you were telling that story, and you have a little bit of experience with Hollywood and movies, you've worked on some really big budget movies before. So do you know, or have you ever heard of an instance where like there's a big budget movie coming out, like Oz that you worked on, okay? Yeah. So if you were to go out and do some crazy shit, after you recorded Oz? Or maybe not you because you were small. What if like James Franco, okay, went out and like just lost his marbles, got really drunk, made a scene, degraded a bunch of people, didn't go to jail, but just really put a bad name all over himself.
Okay.
To the point that people did not go out and see Oz.
Okay.
Now, this did not really happen. This is all hypothetical. Can the creators, not the publishers, but the producers, can they sue that actor and say, like, you ruined our movie? You made the sales terrible?
So I'm going to say no, simply because I've never heard of something like that happening. Yeah. Now, that might very well be a thing.
So do you think it's just that now they have a huge blemish on their career, so no one wants to work with them after that?
Yeah. So there's something that does happen in Hollywood a lot that's called being blacklisted.
Oh, that's a real thing.
And anybody from an A-lister to an F-lister can be blacklisted.
No kidding.
Yeah, so I actually have my cousin works in Los Angeles in the film industry. She does like a lot what I did on Oz, but she does it more consistently for a living.
Right.
And she was telling me a story once about and if you're listening to this, by the way, cousin, let me know if I have this wrong. But I remember her telling me a story because I lived with her when I first moved to Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And she told me a story to where she was supposed to be a stand-in or a photo double on a set. Something came up to where she couldn't come. Like it was like maybe 15 minutes before she was supposed to be on set and she couldn't come for whatever reason.
Right.
You don't do that in Hollywood, period.
So the same thing as like a no-call, no-show in our world.
Yes.
Just didn't show up.
You could be scheduled on it 2 weeks before, Matthew, and if you call a week and a half before and say you can't do it, it could still happen to you.
Oh, shit. So it's one of those things, if you get that opportunity, you're so lucky to have that you
better
do
fucking keep
whatever it takes to get there.
At least that's the way Hollywood looks at it.
Okay.
So she was telling me a story to where she, for whatever reason, couldn't go and tried calling him and telling him that. And she ended up having to fight through this process, whatever that process was, of not being blacklisted in the industry as somebody not to hire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it does happen, and I think word
moves around quick in Hollywood, huh?
Yeah. Well, and I think in terms of being on the movies and stuff, I think it's very similar to just like a regular job, right? If you have Joe Schmo that works at a call center, and then outside of the call center, he does something to get himself in trouble, well, if nobody, the call center, the only way they're going to fire you is if whatever you said makes people not want to call you anymore. It makes people not want to sell stuff to you anymore, whatever it is. So I think it's the same thing. James Franco could do something very obscene and make a fool of himself. But if people are still willing to go see his movies, well, there's not going to be a studio that's not going to hire him because of something like that, because they know they can still make money off of him.
But like in this case, with the movie that just came out today that didn't do well, that seems to be the only reason it didn't do well is because of this actress.
Well, yes, but not necessarily because of anything that she was preaching. The reasons were literally just that she gave a poor performance within the movie, and that the movie itself just wasn't a very good movie, which in my eyes, somebody who doesn't like, people who try to push those beliefs down your throat, who are very obviously an entertainer, to me, I look at it as like, well, there you go, bitch.
I get, what goes around comes around.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. It's like
good old-fashioned karma.
You try to make this a pedestal for some, or a platform for some belief, and but at the same time, we also are entertainers and we talk about politics on the podcast sometimes. So.
True.
But at the same time, I'd also like to think we're not trying to tell people, you're wrong for thinking a certain way.
Yeah, we purposely pick two different sides of the field. Sometimes I'll actually engage and say things that aren't even my actual beliefs just to keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it is important to do both sides of the field if you're going to talk about things like that.
Yeah. And
you can't diss anyone, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And when it comes to things like in Hollywood or really just in life in general, the way I look at it is I really don't care what your beliefs or what your political thing is. It just comes down to like, I'll work with you if you're nice. If you're not an asshole to me, I'll fucking work with you.
So what 3 words describe you best?
Creative, loud, and the last one's hard. Creative, loud, silly, maybe? Obnoxious?
Creative, loud, obnoxious.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Those are 3 things I've been called before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not how I would sell myself, but
Yeah, why not?
interesting. You went with the honest approach.
Yeah,
You
crazy,
went with the
crazy, loud, obnoxious. Yeah,
Okay.
I'd say so. I don't think that's a negative thing. That's just who I am. Plenty of people like me for those things.
You know what my
But-
3 words would be?
What?
Hot as fuck.
You fucking read that question, and then the second you read that question, you said, that joke came to your head, and you're like, I'm fucking
boom.
doing this.
Boom. And I played it to the end, sir. I saw it all the way through. It's commitment, folks. That's what gets you to this point in life.
I applaud you
Commitment.
for that one.
Thank you.
Applause.
Thank you.
I hope you guys enjoyed that.
What's your favorite number? What a weird
3.
fucking question. What does it matter?
I don't know.
Do you think it says anything about a person, what their favorite number is?
Oh, if you like numerology, it could. Didn't we just talk about numerology the other day?
Yeah, whatever. That doesn't matter. My favorite number is 7. Like,
7?
very clearly, there's not even a second close one. Like, for as long as I can remember through my whole life, I love 7.
Why?
I don't know. Well, actually, I do know.
Okay.
I can tell you why. It's the hardest number to do math with.
Is it?
Yeah. It's
How
the
so?
hardest number to multiply. It's the hardest number to divide by. It's a
Why
bitch
is
to
that?
work with. Just because it's not an even number, you're not taught that its multiples very commonly. You don't really need to count by 7s. I can count by 7s. I made it a point.
Right. Well, I mean, the only reason why I'm asking is because I'm trying to think, like, so what makes, like, 9 easier than,
Because 9 is just 10 minus 1. 9's super easy. And there's also a lot of tricks for 9, involving your fingers.
I see. So 7 just, like, lacks those kind of
7's a
tricks
bitch, dude. Even in school, when they're teaching kids, they'll
Uh-huh.
they'll teach you all the tricks for all the other numbers and math, and they'll tell you, like, 7,
Just memorize it.
you're just fucked. Yeah, they'll be like, just
Yeah.
good luck with 7. We'll skip 8. Here's all the things for 8. Like,
Right.
all the other numbers have tricks, and 7 is just a pain in the ass to work with in math.
Interesting.
So I love it. It's like math on hard mode. Because I
Okay.
really enjoy numbers.
Okay.
So yeah, 7. That's my favorite. I'll accept 27 if it has to be double digits.
Uh-huh.
But there are no other exceptions. Only 27.
So 3 is my favorite single digit, and I think, and 27 is actually my favorite double digit.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you know that I love the number 27, and then I'm also a cigarette smoker, which is bad. And one day, when I was old enough to purchase cigarettes, because I used to always smoke Marlboro Reds, right?
Right.
But when you're underage, because it's the easiest thing to just spout off to a willing adult.
Oh, I know where this is
Well,
going.
then one day I was able to go in there and look at all of them,
Uh-huh.
and I came across this little copper package,
Yep.
and they were called Marlboro 20 fucking 7s, and I was like, holy shit! It's all I've ever smoked since. Those are my cigarettes.
Yep.
Love
We
them.
Just had one today for the first time in a few months,
long
actually. Yeah, it was nice.
It was the 27th blend that Marlboro created, supposedly.
I was
whatever.
gonna say, this is episode 27, but this is 28. 27 was yesterday. But 27 was a good episode.
It was a good one. We talked about censorship for number 27. Interesting.
Censorship?
Yeah.
It was interesting. I had a lot of people say that they liked it, though. I personally had people texting me and saying that they enjoyed that conversation.
Let's see if we can get one more of these in here.
Okay.
Because it's probably, I'm sure that we're running low on time by now. Let's see. Well, that's a really cool one if the answer is yes, but I don't think either of us have ever done that.
What's the question?
The question is, have you ever saved an animal or a human's life?
Nope.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not a hero. But it'd be really cool if we did. Let's see. We'll find one quick here. Well, we've already talked about dreams before, though.
We have dreams.
Who in your
crazy one.
life brings you the most joy?
Who in my life brings me the most? Damn. I don't I don't know how to answer that question. I honestly don't know. I mean, the first thing that comes to like mind is like friends and family, obviously.
Got to pick one.
But as far as like the
One
most
person.
joy,
I'm putting you on blast, and what's funny, guys, is all of his family listens to this. So one person's gonna be
That's
happy, and
true.
the rest are gonna be like, "What the fuck?" So yeah, pick one. Who's it gonna be? I think I know who you're gonna pick, but I just don't know if you're gonna be honest or if you're gonna be obliged to pick someone else. But I think I know who you're gonna pick.
you think you know who I'm gonna pick?
I think I do.
Uh,
I know the family member you talk more about than anyone else.
yeah. I mean, well, it's probably because I think I know who you're thinking of, but I do think it's like honestly a tie between two people, and I think that is between my brother and my cousin.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not who I thought you were gonna say.
Who did you think I was gonna say?
I thought you were gonna say your mom.
My mom?
Yeah.
Oh no, I love my parents to death, but I mean I have a bond with my brother that I could never have with anybody else.
True. I never heard you talk about your cousin.
I share. My cousin helped me a lot when I was going through my
the
stuff.
LA cousin?
But yeah,
Oh,
the
you
LA
literally
cousin.
just talked about that.
Yeah.
Okay, you talked about her to the whole world.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, and I, and she taught me a lot of, about Los Angeles, and her and I have a lot of the same interests as far as the movie stuff goes and the film industry stuff. And both my brother and my cousin have been people who have, been there for me, through thick and thin. And it's not that my parents haven't been there for me also. They're fantastically supportive and loving parents. But like I said, there are certain things in my life that nobody can relate with me with, but my brother can, and there are other things that nobody can relate with me with, but my, cousin can. But yeah, I'd say my brother or my cousin is probably a tie between those two. They both bring me a lot of joy to be around. My parents.
And ironically, you don't get to be around either of them very often.
Yeah, my parents bring me comfort.
Yeah, for sure.
When any single time that I'm like really, I mean, you've seen me have like anxiety fits and things like that, but like anytime like it's just so far off beyond my control, like I'll go visit my parents and just sit
always bring you
there
back to
and-
earth. They ground you.
Yeah, they're really good at that. So I'd say as far as joy, my brother or cousin, and then comfort, definitely my parents, 100%.
Interesting.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, gosh. I don't know. I rate people a little differently.
Okay.
So,
How do you rate people?
well, so like the person that I've been closest with in my life would be my sister. The person who's cumulatively brought me the most joy in my life would be my uncle.
Okay.
My favorite human being that I've ever met before is an ex that I've had in the past. And then the person that I love the most is my mom. So I kind of have different answers. If you're just talking pure joy, like just happiness,
Right.
I guess the person who has brought the most cumulative happiness into my life over my entire life is my uncle.
Okay.
My uncle. I was
Yeah, you've told me a lot of fun
super close
stories
with my
with
uncle.
your uncle. I met your uncle. He's a
met my
a
uncle.
very cool guy.
He's a character.
Yeah,
he's,
he is
he's
a
something
character.
Else. But he is just without fail every single time you interact with him, no matter what, he's interesting. Always.
See, those are almost things that
So-
I strive to be. Things.
I love it. He's a big, huge influence on my life.
Yeah. It's interesting that that was a very interesting question because that was something I never like actually sat there and thought about of like who honestly brings me the most joy in my life, when I see them or when I interact with them, and it was funny because the first things that come to mind are obviously the people I'm around with all the time. So I think of like you and Justin and Vince and Chris or people who I see on a regular basis.
Well, I would say like these days, the person that brings me a lot of joy is probably you.
Right,
But that's
right.
just because I spend a lot
But
of fucking time
if
with
we're
you.
talking about like
We're always
overall,
together,
yeah.
entertaining people all the fucking time.
We don't have a fucking choice but to be each other's joy.
Gosh. So yeah, other than that,
But as far as like throughout like life and things like that and just growing up,
I've never really had a person in my life other than family who has been in my life for more than like 4 years. Like 4 years is the longest I've known a person
interesting.
other than family. So it's hard to become like the all-star in that much time. You know what I mean?
Right. I feel, whereas I've held on to friends for like, I have a lot of friends who I've been, with for like 10 plus years now.
I basically start a new life every 2 or 3 years.
Interesting.
Without trying. It's not like I want to. It just
Right.
happens. I just kind of
that's-
recycle everything and start over.
Yeah, but I mean that's not necessarily a bad thing either. I feel like that's how you get the people out there who are 50 and they talk about the 20 different careers that they had through their life. I mean, at one point, I hope you're here 4 years from now with Hardly Millennial.
Oh, I hope so too.
But at one point, if the time did come that, you moved on from doing podcasting and going on doing another venture in your life, at one point though, you will be able to look back and say like, oh yeah, I used to have a pod, you'll be that person with a group of people and you'll always be the one be like, oh yeah, I used to do that. Yeah, I did that for a little bit.
I take a lot of pride in trying everything once.
Yeah.
I really do think that's important.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the whole point of life, in my opinion, is not that you should go out and party every fucking day.
No,
all right,
no,
maybe
no.
party like 3 times a week.
Well, it goes back to what you said earlier about you can take something that's healthy and do it in excess.
Oh, and trust me, I used to do it in excess. But no, like I said, I've said in the past that the thing that scares me the most in life is not having like opportunities or not having the chance to do something. And I like to say that, if I can think of it, I've done it once.
Right.
It's hard. In my opinion, you shouldn't really talk about not talk about, but you shouldn't preach about things. You shouldn't try to educate people on things that you've never done before.
Yeah.
So if you read something in a book, you shouldn't think yourself as good at it as someone who's done it before.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I agree with you. And I think that's actually an issue that we have a lot right now. And I think I can't remember if we talked about this in the episode yesterday or if we talked about this off mic, but it was just going back in regards to when we have an issue right now where so many people will like read an article or look up something online, that they're curious, maybe genuinely curious about, but, they save bullet points in their head. So then all of a sudden they think they're experts on it, but really nobody's
if you want to
learn
if you want to know what the effects of heroin are on your body,
talk to a heroin addict.
Yeah, don't go read it in a book. Go talk to someone who's done it.
Right. Well,
and they'll tell you very specific stories of what will happen.
Yeah. No.
I think that's a lot of what frustrates young people and old people. That's why older people always say, oh, the young people never listen.
Right.
And the young people say, oh, the old people just tell the same things over and over. It's not that older people are smarter. It's that they've done more things.
Yeah.
So nobody ever knows what to do. I'm starting to figure that out in my life.
Yeah.
I used to think that like what I called grown-ups, adults, people 20 years older than me, I used to think that they actually knew what to do.
And nobody does.
No, I'm figuring out now in life, nobody knows what the fuck to do. What old people do know is what not to do.
Yes.
They know what doesn't work.
And I think we all got that from our parents growing up, where you'd start doing something and your parents would never really tell you, oh, do this. But I sure got a lot of like, you don't want to do that.
Don't do that. And,
yeah.
And it's always because it didn't work for them.
Yeah.
So they want you to save time, right?
I was just having a conversation with somebody today, so it's actually funny you bring it up, about in regards to parents and the older generation and things that they did. And it went back to, the conversation was in regards to fights that we've all had with our parents growing up,
Yeah.
and even maybe the words, these particular words weren't uttered, but it really came down to a lot of the arguments of, you just don't understand me, right?
Right. Right.
And
even though you've literally been
exactly
where I am before.
So you get to this point where there's this frustration that builds. Maybe you have now a not so good relationship with one of your parents. And I know specifically with me growing up and getting older, my relationship with my parents, I feel, has gotten stronger. And the reason why it has isn't necessarily because my parents have changed their ways, but it's because as I get older and experience life a little bit more,
You realize they were right.
it's not even not just realizing they were right, but even just in things that they do now or things that they said they did, or it's now I empathize with you.
Yeah.
I'm now literally able to at least empathize on some level with you on why you made the decisions you did, why you do the things you do, why you behave the way you behave.
Isn't it kind of far out, kind of crazy? Like, and we're just starting to hit the tip of the iceberg in our lives with this. But like, and I know that they're listening, so this is a little awkward to talk about.
It has been a little awkward. Love you, Mom and Dad.
Love you guys. Just watching your parents get older, man. Like, I don't know, when you're a kid, you think that they're invincible, right? And then you get into your teens, and, you know, they're even more badass than before. Now they're the big dog in their careers, and, you know. And then you become a young adult, and you move out, and you go back a little while later, and you see your parents, and you go, holy shit, you're getting old? We're all getting old, but
Right.
is it? I don't know. Am I the only one who thinks that? Do you think have you started noticing your parents getting older? Is it like baffling to you?
So I don't notice. So it's funny for me. I feel like it's almost a little backwards. So there's never been a time where I've like walked into my parents' house and been like, you know, and like have thought to myself like, oh, they're really starting to show their age or anything. And I think that's just due partly because I see them often enough to where, you know, I'm not going to notice any of those kind of changes. To me, they're always just mom and dad, right?
Right.
But to me, it actually happens a little backwards, and it goes back to the empathizing thing of I start to realize like how old I'm getting. Because there used to be, I feel, I can't think of the right word for it, but you grew up with your parents, you know, not understanding certain things about technology, or maybe not understanding why you want a cell phone or texting or whatever it is, this new technology that comes out that your parents just don't want anything to do with, or just doesn't seem like they're able to learn it the same way that like we are.
Right.
And then, you know, down to just not liking our music. And watching them has actually made me realize that, oh man, I'm getting old, because whereas that used to seem like such a left field thing to me, and, you know, I was always like, well, I'm going to stay up with the times. I'm going to make sure I stay with this and this and this.
You find yourself.
Even at 27, there are some things I don't, I mean, fuck, I'm still trying to figure out fucking Twitter, Matthew.
I know, Adam. We literally sit there at night, guys. I don't know if you think we're bullshitting. We literally sit on the couch at night and we put our brains, we try to figure it out.
Yeah.
We want to tweet.
Yeah.
We want to tweet you guys so badly, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We're just not there yet.
So when I witness those things,
Sorry for my Twitter rant.
It's all good. Trust me, I understand.
I'm just frustrated that I don't know how to use it yet.
But that's my point. So when I see my parents, you know, like talking about these things, or like my mom called a meme a mem the other day.
Oh, she did. She was like, honey, how do I post this mem?
And it was so funny.
It was really hilarious.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah.
But it was the most funny thing in the world. But all that does is it makes me think about me getting older, because I at 27 have already done that to shit. You know, I had somebody laugh at me today at work, Matthew, because they used some slang term that I never heard of before, and they were just baffled that I didn't know what it was.
You know, I was like the last one to the party to hear about, so the kids now, the people like a few years younger than us, when they're laughing, when they think something's funny, that's called dead. So you died when you think something's funny. I'm dead right now.
Oh yeah,
I'm super
dead.
That
has one.
And maybe it's come and gone since I'm talking about it. It might not even be a thing anymore. But yeah, for the last like year, I was hearing all these, particularly younger girls, because I work at a coffee shop.
Yeah.
They would come in and, you know, you say something like, oh, I'm so dead right now. And for a while, Adam, I truly had no idea what the fuck they were talking about. Like, really? I'm kind of joking now, talking about being old, but like, honestly, at first, I was like, these bitches are stupid.
Right.
I was like, what are they fucking talking about? Like, do they really think they're dying? Like, what's going on? And it wasn't until one day I told them, I was like, well, don't die in here. Go outside and die. You know, just being stupid, because I kept hearing this thing. And they were like, why do I have to go outside to laugh? And it all just
clicked.
It came pouring down on me. I was like, dead means you're laughing. That means you think it's funny.
Yeah, like...
I was like, oh.
Like died laughing.
Died laughing. Yeah. They'll be like, oh, I'm so dead right now.
So...
But they won't actually laugh.
No.
There's no laugh that comes out. They just say the words, I'm dead.
I'm dead. Yeah. And it's like, so one thing I've realized is very popular right now and trendy as far as slang terms and words used is it's satirical humor. So one thing I've heard along those lines is it's become very popular and trendy to insult yourself when you do something wrong. So I work with people where if they do something wrong or they say something that's corny or awkward or whatnot, they'll say things, and I've even adopted this a little bit, where they're just like, I'm trash, I'm just garbage. You know,
Oh yeah.
I think you've heard that
So the
before,
garbage thing
too.
is big at our house.
Yeah.
Everything, if something sucks at our house, it's garbage.
well, I got that from hearing younger people use that a lot.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah, of just I'm garbage or I'm just gonna go kill myself. Like
Oh.
that happens
That's a
too.
thing now, huh?
Yeah, that's a
Interesting.
thing now.
In my day, if you said that, you had to go talk to someone.
Exactly.
So I think the last thing I can remember being like hip and being right on the train as it became popular,
Right.
was your face. Everything
Yeah.
was your face. I love your face.
Oh my
Fuck your
gosh,
face.
your face or your
Your face
mom.
is hilarious. Well, your mom was a thing for a while, but then like a few years later, at least in Tucson, it came around a few years later.
came here,
was
too.
It was your face.
Yeah.
Love your face. Can't wait to see your face. Want to drink with your face. All of that.
It's true.
And I remember being right on board with that. At the UPS store I used to work at is when I learned that. Ever since your face, I have not been to the party on time once.
Your face, I remember, and then there was another one that's like the last one where I was on. Well, I've been on board with some of the newer ones.
Yeah, you're still a cool
but-
kid.
Yeah, but do you remember the term ratchet? Somebody was ratchet.
I only very recently learned that term
Really?
from Trenton.
Okay, the first time I heard that was maybe it was a Los
We have a
Angeles
friend
thing.
named Trenton.
Yeah, maybe it was a Los Angeles thing, but there was but when I lived in Los Angeles back in 2012, 2013, that was a big one. Somebody was ratchet. Justin actually was the first
And
one
that
to
just
use
means
that.
like skanky, hoe, dirty kind of thing, right?
But again, satirically, you're not like
It's almost an endearing thing to say it. Like you wouldn't be like, "Oh, you ratchet ass,"
It
like
could-
to like put someone down.
well, it could be both. So like if you're describing like skinky ass hoe type of thing,
Yeah.
like that type of stereotype, you would hear ratchet used, but it was also used in the sense of like I'm garbage, right? It'd be like, girl, you ratchet. Justin, I heard use that term a lot. He would refer to people as ratchet, but every time Justin used it, it was usually an endearing term, right? But
Yeah, it's funny how those things come and go.
hey, I'm curious what the fucking slang's gonna be that's gonna confuse the hell out of me in 10 years, you know?
Well, we probably won't know, Adam. We're
That's
not going to be
true.
really invited to the party much longer.
Well,
We're getting old.
I might have kids. You never know. Maybe they'll know. I guess 10 years, they probably won't be old enough to know. So 20 years, I'll figure it out. Maybe. We'll
Maybe.
see.
Maybe one of our wonderful viewers will key us
Enlighten
in,
us.
enlighten us on some of the
Yes.
new slangs going on.
So before we end this podcast, because we are over time here, I just want to say, and I actually meant to mention this at the beginning of the podcast, but I didn't realize until I got to work today that today is National Women's Day.
National
Or
Women's Day?
It's either national or international, like Women's Day.
Thank God for girls.
Yeah. So just a quick shout out to all the women out there and everything you do.
Shout out. You're all beautiful.
You're all
We literally
beautiful.
love all of you.
To my mom and cousin who are both women, love you both, and thank you so much for
Yeah.
everything you do, especially you,
Woo!
Mom.
Shout out to the ladies. It's your day.
It is your day. So yeah, so happy International Women's Day. If I knew that was coming, I would have tried to prepare like a topic having to do with like women or something.
I'm going to go
but
talk to some beautiful women right now
Let's
to
do that,
celebrate the
Matt.
holiday.
Let's fucking do it, Matthew.
All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.